Hello, thank you for joining us today for Forum 360, where we have a global outlook from a local view. I'm your host, Leia Love, and today I am super excited because we have Miss Gloria Ware. She is the Chief Rainmaker of Get the Bag. So today we're going to be talking about getting the bag, aka funding.
Yeah.
She has 25 years in business and banking and early stage investing. She is a speaker, lecturer, interviewer, just a jack of all things with business, and I am so excited to gain all the information that you have for us today. So thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be invited to participate on your show.
So tell me a little bit about how you got into the business arena altogether.
Okay, well, it started as a very young child. I actually had what I like to call a recycling business when I was little. So my brother and I used to collect bottles, like soda bottles, and you could exchange them for cash, and we used that to pay for our candy money. So I got connected to the idea of being able to make things happen for yourself and generate some additional cash early. I didn't realize it was called business. And then in high school, I used to bake these monster cookies and pastries and things like that, and I would sell them to my teachers. And I said I always wanted to start a business. At the time, it was a catering business. So around that same time, I was planning to go off to college, graduated from The Ohio State University, thank you. And I just decided to major in business because of just some of the things I was lacking as a young business owner. And I thought it would be helpful to get a better understanding of what it takes to run a business. And I just thought it was a good practical major for a young person to have.
Okay. So how did you get to Get the Bag, and what does that mean?
Yes.
And what is your demographic?
Yeah, so Get the Bag, actually, it's focused on ensuring that Black women entrepreneurs have the capital, connections, and resources that they need to successfully start and grow their businesses, which as Black women, we tend to not have connections, people that have businesses or business experience. We definitely don't have the capital. Our average net worth is much lower than the average population, and we experience a lot of biases as it relates to successfully securing capital. And so Get the Bag is about closing those gaps. And I started thinking more about entrepreneurship when I worked for as a student at The Ohio State University. I worked for the Office of Black Student Programs, and it was my job to put on programming for the students in the community. And I came across a magazine, which now I know to be Black Enterprise magazine, but I'd never seen anything like that. And I saw these Black executives and Black business people, and I was never exposed to anything at that level before. So I became so excited. And so one of my first programs was a program to introduce everyone to the world of entrepreneurship, get them connected to the resources available for them in Columbus to help them start their business so that they could be on their path. And from that point on, I went to work in banking, where I worked with hundreds of small business owners. And then the last 10 years has been in the venture capital and entrepreneurial ecosystem building capacity.
So you mentioned connections. Tell us, how can entrepreneurs build these connections that they need to be successful?
A lot of it just starts with getting out, and I know that's more challenging to do in today's environment, but networking with people that you may know. It could be your people at church, it could be your sorority or your fraternity. There's lots of professional associations. If you have a particular area of expertise, there's lots of groups that you can connect to either virtually or in person. And then I always encourage people to get out of their comfort zone as well. And this really applies to everyone, because we do have a tendency to stay within kind of our own bubbles and our own networks. And you don't learn that way, you don't leverage new experiences and meet new people in that way. So I always encourage people to take advantages of things like getting involved with the local chambers, There's a lot of small business groups, so other business owners that are looking to connect with one another and share and do business with one another locally. I think there's Alignable, so a lot of people use that that platform.
I get emails, but I never look
I
at it.
just finally gave in. They had been sending me emails for like 4 years, and I was just like, let me just do this, right? Because I'm actively network on LinkedIn. That's a great place to network. You can target your group. But I was like, let me just try something new, like to that point of getting out of my bubble. And I was like, this is more neighborhood focused. So let me just see like what some of these neighborhood entrepreneurs are like.
Okay. Now you mentioned LinkedIn. Do you have any tips for really making it effective to be on LinkedIn?
Yes, I've been using LinkedIn. Wow, I would say like since it first came out. LinkedIn is great because it's like free, almost like free advertisement for your growth and development over time. You know, as you get a promotion at work, as your business is taking on new contracts or your business is growing, you're connected to other business people. And so it's a way you can update your profile, and because everything is typically 100% business focused, it's a great way to kind of low key promote yourself and for people to see what you're doing. And then it's also great because you can actually look for certain groups. So there are, like, I belong to like the Green Business Association, the National Society for Black Engineers. There's all these groups, diversity and inclusion officer. So you can go in there, you can meet new people from all over the globe, because people on LinkedIn are all over the globe. And you just share. So the way I use LinkedIn is I do read a lot. And so I share a lot of information that I think would be of interest to my general audience or to specific people. So it's a great way. I also love it because when people move around, their email addresses change, and their LinkedIn is like your forever profile, right? So even if I move or change, someone can find me on LinkedIn. So sometimes I'll be looking for specific people that have specific areas of expertise, and I'll do a search for those, and then I'll send them an invite, just asking if we can connect and be part of their network. And I have people that do the same for me. There's also LinkedIn for Business, which a lot of people really underutilize. I just discovered a way that you can actually include your services. Like there's a link to your services that you can use on LinkedIn for Business. So you have your personal LinkedIn profile, that's kind of really your professional LinkedIn profile, and then you can have a LinkedIn page for your business. And a lot of people are doing thought leadership pieces using LinkedIn. So they're writing blog posts, they're writing articles, they're writing thought pieces. And so you have all of these business people that are watching, looking at it and sharing. You can do videos, live videos on LinkedIn. So we are familiar with IG Lives and Facebook Lives, but a lot more people are doing videos, and there's also now LinkedIn events. Okay. So I love it. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Underutilized resources inside of that one app.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So let's get back to capital and funding.
Okay.
What are some things that people should know about when going to secure it? And actually, let's back up before that. Mm-hmm. What are the different types that you can go after?
Okay, there's so many. And in the last 10 years that there's been an expansion of things that make it more equitable, make capital more open to a broader group of people. So, and I just kind of like to split it into starting a business versus growing a business. Okay. So if you're looking to start a business, a lot of times your first capital might be money from your savings. It might be maybe money from another business that you have, and you're taking the profits from that to invest into this big business that you want to grow and scale. It might be money from it might be exchanging, so bartering with one another. So that's basically someone has a service that you need, you have a skill that they need, so bartering to get that done in lieu of cash. And then the other great thing for startups now is crowdfunding. Mm-hmm. So that has really enabled people to not have to know a banker, not have to know a venture capitalist, just tap into your own network, right? So it just requires you to have a great story, a solid focused purpose for what you're doing with the money that gets everyone excited, a fantastic video, and then just a lot of hustle in terms of promoting and getting people engaged. if you have an existing business, the opportunities are, and there's also then venture capital, maybe once you kind of start to show that you actually have people interested in your service or your product. And then if you're an established business, there's more opportunities. That's where bank loans come into play, credit cards, investment, so getting money from people that are interested in investing in your business. There are there's a number of other capital resources, but they're and then also crowdfunding is also an option for an established business.
Now I know we have to make sure we always know that there is no such thing as free money.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be some of the I don't want to necessarily say cons,
Mm-hmm.
but things that they need to know in going after certain types of funding.
Okay.
That would come along with that, some strings that may come along with that.
Yes. So for you, I'm glad you said free money because I forgot about grants. Right. So I have a whole database of like business grants. But yes, nothing is truly free. Even with grants, which is technically money that you don't have to pay back, there's an expectation that you're going to market the organization that gave you the grant, that you're going to allow yourself and your business to, maybe make a video on their behalf or be featured on their website. And then sometimes if it's a business grant, there's not as many restrictions. But if we go back to crowdfunding, right? And there's different types of crowdfunding. There's crowdfunding where people are just donating to help they want to contribute to the cause, but there's also crowdfunding where people can actually invest in your business. So even if people are donating and want to contribute to your cause, say for example, you want to, write a book. And I've actually...
I'm going to be paused real quick. For those of you who are just tuning in, we are talking to Gloria Ware, who is the Chief Rainmaker and founder of Get the Bag, and we are talking about securing funding for your business. Okay, go back and finish telling us about it.
Yeah. So crowdfunding, yes, people are giving you money. The exchange is that either they're paying for a product that you're going to make when you gather all of the money, that was the goal of your campaign, or they're getting some rewards, right? So you typically say, if you don't contribute at the $50 level, I'm going to give you a signed copy of my book. Or you can come to my party, my launch party. Mm-hmm. On the bank side, banks typically lend you money, so there's an expectation that you will pay the money back. Mm-hmm. So that's very important to know, and they usually will want to secure that with some asset, such as maybe your house, or the equipment that you're purchasing, or the building that you're purchasing as collateral, just in case you fail to make the payments. Mm-hmm. For investors, if someone's investing in your business, they are typically expecting a percentage of ownership and control of the business as well. So that's why it's very important that you understand and have a solid relationship with potential people that are investing in your business, because it's kind of like a marriage.
Yeah.
So,
have you seen any worst case scenario stories of things that have happened? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yes.
What's been one of those?
Well, worst case scenario on the crowdfunding side is that you underestimate how much it's going to cost you, say, to make the widgets. Hey, I've got this new ideal. I need to raise $50,000 so that I can make, 50,000 of them. And you successfully raise $50,000, but you find out it's going to cost you $100,000, and people are expecting their widget in exchange for the crowdfunding campaign, and you weren't able to deliver, and that happens, right? So it's very important that you understand the costs of your crowdfunding campaign, and that you can actually deliver on time. Or sometimes it's yes, you raise the money, but there's delays in getting it manufactured and the like. So that's a challenge. On the venture capital side, what a lot of people don't realize is that typically if you're raising money from a venture capitalist, there's expecting that you're going to have huge, phenomenal growth, and you're going to have to continue to raise other money from other investors. And the more investors that you bring on, which you kind of have to because you need all of that cash to keep growing at a fast rate, the more you are limiting your percentage of ownership. So often what people don't realize is that by the time your company has been sold, right, you've had an exit or you go public on Wall Street, that the founder may have 1 to 3% of the total proceeds,
Wow.
if that.
If that.
So people get excited about wanting to raise venture capital, but don't always understand what can happen over the long term. And once you start bringing on investors, they become part of your board. They have seats on your board. So now it's everyone's company. So whereas you were maybe calling the shots initially, once you were getting your company going, now it's not just you calling the shots. You are accountable to board members who might have other ideas about the business. And they have the ability to fire you too as the founder if they so choose. So these are just things that people don't always realize.
Yeah.
So venture capital is not, it's definitely a resource for a lot of types of businesses, but you need to understand what you're getting yourself into. But there's lots of other ways to raise capital for your business that don't necessarily require venture capital. Sometimes there's angel investors.
Okay.
And this might be if you have someone that really trusts you and values you and respects you, and they've got some cash and they want to see you do well. They will invest in your business. Sometimes it might be like a friendly loan where it's like, hey, $50,000, you pay me back
We're good to go.
whenever, right? Or yes, I'm investing, but I'm just going to have a small percentage of ownership. I want to help you win.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the angel investor versus the venture
Yes,
capitalist.
and typically you secure angel investors before you get secure venture capital anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now getting back to your business, what all does your business provide to help people get this capital?
Yeah, so my experience, I've been a banker. I've worked with lent capital to small businesses, colleges, universities, cities, whole host of entities. And then working on the venture capital side, I've worked with primarily people of color and women on helping them to secure capital for their business, venture capital in some cases, in other cases not, and contracts as well. Because particularly for a lot of entrepreneurs of color, the way we raise our capital for our business is by selling our products, because we are forced to do that because we have a difficult time finding the funds. So we have to find a way to get some products made and then sell them. So, but that's important too, because when bankers look at your business or investors look at it, they want to know, was anyone buying this? Right? What's your, they call it traction, or your proof of concept. And if you can demonstrate that you have a market and people are buying your product, and that, the percentages are going up every month, then it makes you more attractive to everyone, right? So even the naysayers, because you can't, well, she's actually selling, so there must be a market, right? So to get back, the goal is to, number one, give people kind of inside information and tips on some of the behind the scene things that happen on the banking side, the crowdfunding side, and the venture capital side that I've seen, just being, on the committees that are making decisions about who gets investments, and having to pitch for my clients to get funding. So there's just a lot of things that you don't know if you weren't there, and so the goal is to make sure that I'm providing more transparency to people about how these things work. But then also, particularly for, African American women, because we don't necessarily have angel investors that have $50,000 or $10,000 lying around to invest in us, and we don't have the savings, we look for a lot of grants. We look for free funding. So we enter pitch competitions, look for grants. And I just got really frustrated when trying to find grants for people, because I would always get people asking me about grants. And so I was like, well, are there grants out here? And this was maybe 10 years ago. And there weren't really that many grants for business owners, right? And then when you looked, I kept seeing like the same 10. And some of them were no longer in existence. So I decided as a service that I was going to provide was to do this curation of these grants myself. Because I know that, as women, we don't have a lot of time. We have a lot of other responsibilities that we're dealing with. And I had the expertise, so I kind of knew what to look for in the grants. And so I have a funding database that's free with over 300 business grant opportunities kind of broken down by various categories. And that's really open to everyone, regardless of your background. And so once I started doing that, I was getting people that were super excited to have that database, but they were like, oh my gosh, now it's so overwhelming. Like, this is a lot to look through. And I'm constantly iterating and updating the look and feel of the database. So we added a calendar, right, to make it easy so that you could just come to our website and you can say, oh, wait, what are some grants that are available right now? Where's the link? When are they due? Because these are all questions I would get.
Right.
And so to make it easy to find, I have an intern, Asma Shahid, that keeps our funding guide and our calendar up to date. So just go to the website, look to see what's available and when the deadlines are, and click through and apply.
All right, now you mentioned pitching. Give us your tips for delivering a really good pitch.
Okay, so I think the thing to understand first of all is what organization is sponsoring the pitch competition.
Okay.
Right, because they are all bringing a certain lens to how they're evaluating the pitch. So, and reading carefully the instructions, right? What are they? They will a lot of times give you clues as to what they're looking for in the pitch or a winner. So that's the first thing, because it could vary. But the other thing is to, number one, know what makes you different and unique. So what is your business and what's kind of the so what? Okay, so why is your business, why is your bakery, more unique and differentiated than another bakery? So, well, ours is vegan and gluten-free, and, we give back to the community, a certain percentage back to the community, right? So those are areas of differentiation. Or we're the only bakery that serves the rural community in this geography, and we have a lot of people that kind of depend on our services. So make sure that you have a very clear and strong, what we call value proposition or point of differentiation. Having a good story is always really good, because that's people really like stories just as human beings. Being clear about what you're going to do with the money, right? If there is a $10,000 pitch prize and you are saying that you want to buy a building, you've got to say, well, how is the $10,000 going to contribute towards you buying the building, unless you can get a really good building on sale for $10,000, which is completely possible. Because the judges always want to feel good that the money is going to be, I'm not always saying I agree with this, but the money will be used responsibly, like a piece of equipment. Okay. So it's like, hey, currently I have my business is growing, and we're having a hard time meeting the demand because we're manually making the candles. But with this equipment, we'll be able to generate 100 times more candles a lot faster, and that will help us to grow faster. Okay. Like, they love hearing those. You're going to use this money. How is it going to help advance your business? And tell us more about what that's going to look like. So those are things that investors or not investors, but the pitch competition organizers want to hear. But a lot of times people are pitching to investors. Investors want to know, and this is what sometimes people don't think about, how are we going to, like on Shark Tank, right? Okay, well, what's in it for me? Right? So if I give you $10,000, how is this $10,000 going to grow into $100,000? So sometimes I think we forget, and we kind of are thinking about ourselves and our business and what we're trying to do, and not understanding what the judges are looking for. Like, you winning the pitch competition, how does that help them? Whether it's a competition, it helps them to say, hey, we were able to back this business that is going to create 10 more jobs because of the money we're giving them. Or, hey, we're able to back this business and we're going to get 10 times the amount of money that we put into the investment.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Shark Tank.
Yes.
In like 1 minute, if somebody wanted to become a shark, going on that route, what would you tell them to do?
Well, so the good news is that that world has also opened up too on I'm interested in investing in a business, right? And the criteria in the past for being able to technically be an investor has been, the bar has been very high, because you needed to be something called an accredited investor, which means that you either make $200,000 in annual income, or you have $1 million or more in net worth, I think, minus your IRA, your retirement plan. So that is, not too many people can, fit in that criteria. However, because now there's equity crowdfunding, there's new crowdfunding platforms where you can invest, you can become kind of an investor for as little as $100 or $200.
Okay.
And a lot of it is due to these new crowdfunding platforms. Some are, WeFunder is one, Republic is another one. And then there's other kind of, if say for example, if I had a winery, right, and I wanted to invest in, I had a winery and I want to invest in some equipment and my friends love my winery, I could ask my friends, I could kind of create my own kind of crowdfunding platform and ask my friends to become investors in it with me. So, and then there's an organization called Pipeline Angels, which works with women and helps women to become accredited, helps them to become angel investors, and they invest in women and LGBTQ people because typically like women invest in other women. So on the venture capital side, like less than 1% of funding has gone to women and like 0.006% of funding has gone to Black women. And so most of that funding is because women are investing in other women-led businesses and Black people and Latinx people are investing in businesses that look like them.
Gotcha. I could talk to you all day.
Okay.
This is such a really good conversation. And if you all want to learn more about Get the Bag and all the resources that she has, we do have her link to her website provided. And I want to thank you for joining us today, where I'm your host, Leia Love. And thank you for tuning in to Forum 360, where we have a global outlook from a local view. Have a great week.
Forum 360 is brought to you by John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Akron Community Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron, Blue Green, Electric Impulse Communications, and Forum 360 supporters.